Welcome to CapChat, the show that connects you to the faces, voices, and stories of Cap Fam. It's episode 9, and we're going to recap for you.
Yeah, we talked about the Convergent Media, what that looks like as an area of study. We had some really cool guests. Who did we have?
We had Dr. Betsy Pike, who is a professor of film and media production, and Rocky Jorgensen, who is a third-year history major.
So it's actually a really cool relationship of how all that blends together. We talk about a lot of different things like the building, Convergent Media Center, the class immersion, and then the area of study, which is emerging media. Yeah. And I get them confused.
Yes, but they all focus on this idea of interdisciplinary studies and working together with various departments or people with various skill sets within a department to kind of prepare you for the real world, where that's the nature of life, of working together with people. And yeah.
Awesome. Come with us. It's episode 9, CapChat.
Hello. Welcome to CapChat. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mary Claire Kunkel.
And I'm your other co-host, John Honecker. We're back. Season 2, episode 9, Convergent Media. We're talking about it with 2 of our favorite guests. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I'm Rocky Jorgensen. I'm a third-year history major here at Cap. I'm also a student athlete. I'm on the men's soccer team. Yeah. And I came in as a business major in, I guess that would have been 2017, and soon found out that wasn't for me. So I went on the history track, and Dr. Carlson was gracious enough to let me be a part of that, and I've loved it ever since. So.
Oh, it's awesome. We're going to talk about that for sure.
I am Dr. Betsy Pike. I've been teaching at Capital since 2012. I happen to be a Capital alum. I graduated 2004 with a communication degree, with a film minor and a business minor. I was happy to come back to Capital, very excited to be here. And I've really enjoyed watching, in particular, my program grow and kind of morph into this building that we happen to be in, the Convergent Media Center.
That's awesome. So we're going to talk about Convergent Media, what that looks like in a major sense. But before we get started in that, let's talk about, that output, what students are doing out in the real world. So we're going to make a little game of it. I want to see how well, or if you guys can guess, some common jobs that come out of media and production degrees, which the Convergent Media degree is much more than just a media degree. We're going to get into that with Convergent and what all that looks like. But in terms of the world,
there's technically not a converging media degree.
See?
Just to be clear.
The more you know.
There's an emerging media degree.
Yes.
So wait, okay.
Yeah.
Let's get there. Convergent, emerging. Convergent is the name of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Emerging media degree. That is what?
That is putting together a variety of areas of majors from a variety of different schools and kind of throwing these people together and pushing towards where out in the real world all these things are changing. So the specializations are public relations, marketing, film and media production, graphic design, entertainment technology, and journalism.
Whoa.
Right? So the emerging media major is comprised of those 6 areas. So you choose a specialization, right? So perhaps your film and media production as an emerging media major. And so you take at least one class in all 6 of those areas. You do a deep dive in one of those areas, and you kind of get a smack roll of the other ones.
So let's dive into that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Are you seeing a lot of benefit from a student coming in and experiencing all those different areas and being able to say, oh, I want to specialize in that? Or do students normally come in and they're like, no, I definitely know graphic design. No, I definitely know film and media.
I think what I've seen as an advisor is the students that come in and say, no, I know film and media production. They will be a film and media production major.
Got it.
They won't be an emerging media major.
Right.
It tends to be students that are on the fence. Maybe they like marketing, but they would rather combine marketing with film and media.
Got it.
And then they can kind of do those two things.
Right.
And so it tends, it's a growing major. There's a lot of students in it now, and it all kind of converges, if you will, in an emerging media class at the 300 level.
Wow.
So that's when they all kind of come together, right? All these different areas of students and take one big class together.
So you can be a film and media major and not have anything to do with the emerging media major.
Correct.
But you can do the emerging media major and specialize in film and media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Like, to give an example, I'm a film and media production major, and I haven't taken classes in all of those different areas unless if I decided I wanted to. But I have multiple classmates where I'm not sure if they're emerging media where they focus on film and media production or if they're just film and media production. And so it's not this big, oh, you're this or you're that. Everyone kind of melds together, and it just depends on what your course load is.
And I think, at least I hope, because I was one of the professors that helped design it, but the major should feel and look more like the real world.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, exactly what you guys are doing here, right? You're doing a podcast with film and media production, with marketing, with business, like it all.
You're preaching right
Yeah.
now. I graduated as music tech. That means audio production. I was really into live sound all the way to studio recording. And the thing is, real world, either your job changes, you lose your job, like stuff happens. And that's why I'm loving this. What you guys have created is because you have to be able to learn and be able to say, I have experience in here. You don't want to start from ground where you're like, I don't know, like there's a video camera or something, and hopefully someone's recording, or, like you have to be able to experience it and have some kind of understanding of all of it. That would prepare you way more for real world situations. I feel like I've experienced that.
Oh, and that's what we're hoping.
In the media degree scene, what are some of the common jobs that you guys think come out of a study like this?
Maybe a screenwriter.
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
Editor. I have a friend that works in news.
Yep. So let's talk about the Convergent Media Center. We're actually sitting in the Convergent Media Center, the radio station. But there's way more than just this radio station in the Convergent Media Center.
A lot more.
Would you like to talk about a little bit that's in this building? This very
yes,
big
I'd
building?
be happy to. So we're sitting in the WXTU radio station on just the first floor. And this is what I found incredible about this building. So we've got radio here on the first floor. Just across the way over here is the Chimes, which is the student newspaper.
Yeah.
So student media number 2. And then just right over here past Rocky is our Cap TV television studio. So we've got student media number 3. So all 3 of these student groups were literally in basements in 3 separate buildings.
Huh.
And so moving into the Convergent Media Center and designing this building, all 3 are on a first floor, literally triangulated from one another.
Right.
And I know like WXCU has worked with the Chimes. Cap TV has worked with WXCU. Like it's been, in my opinion, like a wonderful melting pot. And I was really pushing that all these things stay on the first floor.
Right.
And that they can all see one another and that the student groups converge, if you will.
Get it? Convergent
Yes.
Media. Okay. They get it. It's great.
I'm really involved in the radio station, and I've tried to create a fake feud with the Chimes, and it's kind of took where we're kind of pranking each other. They put googly eyes everywhere because we threatened to egg them. So we printed out a bunch of like pictures of the word egg and just put it everywhere. And so it's kind of gotten to a lull, but I'm trying to revive it again.
And they Nick Caged you guys. Didn't
Yeah, they put a bunch of pictures of Nick Cage in all of our windows so you couldn't see out or in.
Man, they got you good.
They did.
Oh, wow. Harsh here at Capital University. So let's talk specifically about majors and areas of study. You, Mary Claire, are studying film and media.
Film and media production is the official title.
And Rocky, you are studying
History.
Yes. What are you doing here? History is that way. No. You have a very good reason for being here, and it's very exciting. So I want to hear from both of you, whichever one wants to go first.
Mary Claire, you lead us off here.
All right. So for the past 2 years in the fall semester, film and media production and the history department have partnered together in a class called Immersion, where we've created documentaries, and we've also partnered with the university archives in the lower level of the library.
Got it.
So we've learned about how to be archivists and also to research different periods of history and find a narrative in that and be able to tell that through the medium of a documentary. And so seeing all of these students from both history and film learn about each other's disciplines and also share in that and impact how they look at the other's discipline and their own discipline has been really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, we did a documentary on Capitol in the 60s. And this past semester, it's in its final stages. We have been working on a documentary called Dear Miss Conrad, Capitol University in World War II. And it premieres, after this airs, it has already premiered, but it hasn't premiered yet, on MLK Day of Learning across the street in the Drexel, which is super exciting.
That is super exciting.
And then it'll eventually be available to watch, but we've been working really hard on it. I personally am very proud of it. It's all very exciting.
So I want to talk immersion.
Yeah,
like specifically.
Immersion different than emerging.
Mhm.
But I think we want to talk about your degree of study and how it relates first. So Rocky.
Sure. So my interpretation of the immersion projects, Capitol in the 60s was my first look at that. And I was in the audience for that. I wasn't part of it at all. But I'm grown quite close to the chair of the history department, Dr. Carlson, and he told me about it. And I said immediately, that's something that I want to be a part of.
Okay.
And he said, there's a chance for you to do that next semester. This is 3 semesters ago now, for Dear Miss Conrad, which at the time we didn't know it was called that. And I said, I have to be a part of it. And, he recommended me for that. And what it's really is it's a group of people, unique and creative people from history and from film and media that have just come together and worked together to create something amazing in what I think is Dear Miss Conrad.
Oh, wow.
So, but yeah, being a history major, it sounds cut and dry, but it's actually a lot more interesting, especially when you can put it in a setting like Dear Miss Conrad, because, it just opens up your resources and your way of thinking across the board.
Can I ask what Dear Mrs. Conrad is about?
Yes.
Sure. So, I'll take it. I'm the history major.
Okay.
So Miss Conrad was the librarian here during World War II, Dorothea Conrad. And to not reveal, I guess it would have been already seen by the time this airs. So, but most students wrote, how many letters was it?
We have 120.
120 letters addressed to Miss Conrad. And if you think of now, it's kind of odd that students in wartime would write back to their school librarian. So we were very interested in that.
Yeah.
And that's where we got this idea of the title from, this Dear Miss Conrad. And from that, we were able to just dive way deeper into the story and find out so much more.
And the letters served as a preservation of that history with these firsthand, primary source accounts of various people's experiences in the war. And through sifting through those letters, we kind of got our narrative. And then from that, we pulled questions that we still wanted answered or context that we wanted to give and picked out various people to interview to kind of give that, who are experts on those areas. And yeah, the letters were just really cool to be able to hold them in your hands and read about these people who experienced firsthand things that I've been reading in textbooks since I was in elementary school. Maybe not elementary school, but have known about since elementary school is really, really interesting. And it's, oh, this happened. The whole like idea of history is alive was really cool for me as a film major. Yeah. And then using this medium that a lot of people are paying attention to that is really like burgeoning in this like time of film, because people don't really read history papers, which stinks because you put a lot of effort into them and they're really interesting. But if you put them in a film, people are more likely to watch it if they find it on Netflix or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it became much more than a class while I was in it. I signed up for, it was a 4-credit class and 3-credit class, sorry. And it became a lot more to that than me. It was a path that I want to take for my career now. And, I owe a lot to the creation of it, and it was just really cool.
Because you said this earlier, you came in as I
came in as a business major.
Major.
Yeah, well, high school doesn't prepare you, I don't think at all, for college nowadays. At least that's what I found. Right, big news.
Guys,
so
this podcast is just rocking the boat all over the place.
So I came in and I didn't know what I wanted. I was naive. I had a rough first semester, blame it on soccer or whatever you want to do, but I came in and I found what I really wanted to do, and it's just sprang into so many opportunities for me. So.
That's great. Yeah. It wasn't just a class. That's huge. So let's talk about immersion, the class.
So I started teaching immersion at Ball State University when I taught there. And so at the time, that president was really pushing the word immersion. And so I taught in the telecommunications department, and what better way to show off immersion but by doing really cool video projects. So my colleague over there, we did some really cool stuff. And so I left Ball State and got my PhD at OU, and then I came to Capitol. So for about 4 years, because I started in 2012, I always had in the back of my brain, we've got to do immersion. I had to, at the time, no one cares about history, but I'm going into a history lesson.
It's okay. I care.
I really rebuilt the program. So I gutted it. I mean all this lovingly, but I really did some changes to the communication major in electronic media and film. So now we're film and media production. We are a solid major. We stand strong. And so we were ready in 2016 to start doing immersion. So the first, actually I did a couple immersions before we did the true immersion. So we did projects with the Columbus Police Department. So we redid films that they were using to train detectives.
Oh, wow.
Then the next project that we did is we worked with Ohio Homeland Security, and there are 8 signs of terrorism. And so we made videos for each of the 8 signs of terrorism. So that was, I think, in 2015. Then in 2016, Russell Pepper and I did the Main Street Corridor project. So that was really the first true immersion. It was finally a class. It could stand on its own. Students could take it. And then when it became Capitol in the 60s, that was the one after the Main Street Corridor. It was a part of the majors, their capstone project, right? You had to be
right.
You have to apply to be in the class. There are other things you can do for a capstone. It does not have to be immersion, but like it really builds to this thing called immersion. And so I've always kind of had that dream and that goal when creating this major and really, so the students, if they've been around me, have done it. So the group that came in 2012, when I started 2012, they were doing it and they didn't even realize what they were doing. But so now it's scaffolded in, it's clear, it's solidified enough that we could branch out from just film and media production majors, right? We could be confident and we could let in history majors, right? Who I think were very nervous.
Right.
We were.
Yeah. Why would a history major take a 400 level film and media production class? Right?
Why would you?
Because Dr. Carlson told you to.
Dr. Carlson said it would be cool. So I did
An interesting research opportunity.
Yes, he framed it as, a great, exactly what you said, a research opportunity, a time for me to get down in the archives because he knew I was interested in that. And so that's why I did it. Little did I know I would be opened up to so many more aspects of the whole thing, which I'm grateful for now, but scared me at first.
So immersion, I want to give a little overview of what it is, and then I want Dr. Betsy Pike to correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Immersion is this class or an opportunity for students of a variety of different areas of study and majors to come together in a client-facing project. There's an actual company or organization or something that needs something done or would benefit from this project. And then they all work together, make this thing, and then it's awesome.
Some of our immersion projects are client-based.
Okay.
Some of them are not.
Okay.
So the film and media production immersions, so FMP 494, that sort of happens to be the project that I'm currently interested in. So the past 2 times we've done documentaries. The public relations, so PR 494 immersion.
Okay.
That is specifically a client immersion.
Oh.
So they are working directly with mentorship from Fulgrim Mortine.
Yeah.
For the Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, wow.
Client. Right. So that is, it's the film and media production immersions in the fall. The PR one is in the spring. The spring, Dr. Lois Foreman-Warnett is teaching it. She's got 3 groups. So there's a social media team, a film and video team, and I don't know enough about it, but there's another team. So she has 3 different teams of 5 students, and they will work directly with the Ronald McDonald House to produce all their social media, I think, for 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
So that's what the immersion
huge.
Projects, if we're going to try and define what immersion is at Capitol.
I'm trying.
It's a big project where we're not going to lecture at you. You've got to jump in. You've got to be proactive, and you just have to try it. And it's going to be hard, and you're going to be mad at your work colleagues, sometimes your peers, and other times you're going to be like, wow, we really created something incredible. And so it's more about getting in there and getting dirty and messy and having something to show for it at the end, rather than taking a test or, regurgitating something back at you.
Which I think is one of the best ways to learn. If you're going to get mad at a, classmate, you're also going to get mad at a work colleague for sure. So you got to learn how to make the best of it, right, and make something really, really cool. That's really awesome. Dr. Betsy Pike, you've talked a lot about what's on the first floor. Can you talk more about some of the many tools and technologies in the Convergent Media Center?
Yes. So in the lower level, you've got the Film and Media Production Lab, which is 16 Mac Tower computers. We have 4K monitors. All our computers can cut 4K footage. And then as you go into that lab, there's 2 additional doors. So one is just a few whisper rooms for quick audio voiceover recording. And the other is our DaVinci Resolve color grading studio.
Okay.
So we do have the full DaVinci Resolve color grading board.
Oh, wow.
It's the only one in Central Ohio. If you come to Capitol and you want to get trained on it, it's a 2 credit hour course. And then once you're trained on the system, then you can use the system for any of your post-production needs as you move on.
That's really cool.
And then last but not least is one of our creative immersion projects, which is our stop motion animation course.
Yes, I am in that course this semester. I actually just came from that class to come to record this because I'm a student. And I didn't take it last year, which was when it was offered for the first time. But I had a lot of friends who did. And so I kind of gathered various bits of information and kind of figured out what it was all about through that. And one thing that I think is very cool in that is now that I'm a junior and I've taken a lot of different courses, learning various skills, it's this opportunity to go from absolutely nothing and then creating this product.
Right.
Where it's similar to the immersion project, where you have nothing and you kind of learn through doing, and you have to create sets, you have to create the characters, you have to create their costumes, you have to come up with the script, you have to very meticulously, from frame by frame, make this story. And it's, from all of my friends from last year, very, very challenging, but it's also really exciting and really rewarding. And it's almost interdisciplinary within the actual major. And I think that's very inherent to the film and media production major, is you learn all these skills and you find out that you may have something that you're really good at, that someone else struggles with. And then they have a skill that they're really good at that you struggle with, and you figure out who you work well with, and you learn how to create teams and work together and communicate well. And research just how to do things when problems come up. And I think it prepares you very well for really any job, whether you become an editor or you want to create your own podcast, just knowing, oh, I can't do this. Well, there's someone that is, who needs a gig, and kind of learning to reach out in that area.
That's huge. Or stop motion artist, which your life will be very slow, but very cool. So we've talked a lot about a lot of different majors here, whether it's the building and the technology involved in it, the really cool immersion projects, or the emerging media major. Can you, as students, talk to 18, 17-year-old selves, yourselves or friends that you could think of, and just say, hey, when considering this, you guys really need to think about this. You said that you were a little naive or overconfident, a combination of both when you came in. So
that's a perfect word for it. Yeah.
Can you talk to 18-year-old Rocky?
Yeah. Well, I'll say it again. High school, at least my high school, did not prepare me for what I've encountered here in college. And I don't want to say, the curriculum was great, but just, I came in thinking I had to do it on my own. I was afraid to ask for help. And one of the greatest things that I found here at Capitol, and it's a small school, so you get these faculty resources, and all the resources here are fantastic. At any one time, your professor's name, they know you can build a relationship with them. And I don't think you get that at some of the larger schools.
Right.
And I think that by itself is one of the greatest things about Capitol. I can go spend some time in Dr. Carlson's office, and it just makes me smarter just sitting in there. And, and just things like that is, I don't think incoming students from high school, 18-year-olds don't know about the resources enough or use them, the library, student success, academic success, and your professors. And I always I'll have a friend come up to me and they say, I'm struggling in this class. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can't help you, but have you tried to go to your professor? Because I have not met one professor that wants you to fail. Every professor, and I'm sure Dr. Pike can agree, wants you to succeed. So if you show that you're trying, if you show that you're willing, they will help you.
Right.
And I don't think lots of people realize that.
Yeah. Just making sure that students realize that all these resources are at their disposal. You don't have to do it on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My answer is somewhat similar, of something that I have to keep reminding myself, not just 18-year-old Mary Claire, is that fear of failure and not wanting to ask for help, but just getting discouraged if you can't do something the first time that you try to do it, or, oh, this is my skill set, I'm not going to try to expand it or step on anyone's toes. I remember we were filming for not Dear Miss Conrad, Capitol in the 60s last year, and I was in Alabama with Dr. Pike, and our cinematographer wasn't able to show up. And
classic cinematographer.
I guess, I don't know.
He missed the flight.
I didn't want to throw him under the bus. And so I had to film and get various B-roll, and I was terrified of this camera in front of me that I was going to screw up. And then I remembered my professors with me, and your professors are there to help you. And your professors love it when you ask questions and want help, because that's what they're literally employed to do,
right,
and often have a passion to do.
Right.
So just kind of swallowing that fear and that anxiety and that pride and going and asking for help and taking a leap.
Dr. Betsy Pike, would you like to leave any words of wisdom to potential incoming students or people considering everything we've talked about?
So I'm a Capital alum, and I didn't have immersion classes when I was a student here. But what I did find is I worked closely with my professors. And I really wanted to make films, but I didn't at the time. Had no interest in being a radio, television, film major because that was 2 of 3 I didn't want to do. And I made films. So being a communication major, my professor at the time, Dr. Croft, really allowed me a freedom. And I made documentaries about Elvis Presley as my capstone. And so, like, I think the whole point is, like, if you want to try it, Capital lets you, right? So if you're coming to Capital, and I'd say get your feet wet, your freshman year, first year, get in there, get excited, see what you like, figure out what you want, and then, like, just be proactive and adaptable and just try stuff.
Right.
And I think you'll be really surprised. It's a really open environment for that here.
Right. Yeah. That's
Couldn't
awesome.
agree more.
Thank you so much for being a guest on CapChat and being willing to talk about your personal lives and all this. It's been super fun. I've at least had a good time, and I hope you guys as well.